Ben Creed, Billy Gardell, Les McCurdy. Something I didn't mention all evening is I'm a Memphis guy, and you got on the Beale Street shirt.
No, this is Bourbon Street.
Oh, is that Bourbon Street?
No, but
Okay,
I did spend time in Memphis. I got to play Colonel Tom Parker. I did a short-lived series between Mike and Molly and Bob Hearts Abishola called Sun Records, and it was about the $1 Million Quartet and Sam starting Sun Records, and I got to play the Colonel, and it showed our origin of well, you were one. There was about 8 people that
I'm
saw
sitting there
that.
saying, I think I saw that and never realized that was you.
It was on it's streaming on Paramount now. It was on CMT at the time. We did 8 episodes directed by Roland Joffe, and then I think they got the price tag and went back to shows where people catch fish with their hands. I think CMT was all done with that.
Noodling?
Yeah.
We're going to
They
noodling?
were done. They wanted to go back to noodling.
Have
That's
you ever
much
tried
cheaper.
the noodling?
No,
No.
not for me.
Ben, noodling?
Once.
Really? You really did it?
Scared the shit out of me.
Good. Where were you in Louisiana?
Where else you gonna do it? They told me it's gonna be fun. I believed them.
So what, were you playing a club down there or something?
Yeah, I was doing something near Lake Pontchartrain. Remember the place? It was like 4 stories. It was a rock and roll place, a Mexican restaurant, and the comedy club.
I never played anything in New Orleans, in Louisiana.
I used to do Baton Rouge. It was a good funny bone in Baton Rouge back in the day, right by the LSU campus.
They had
it was just shot
in,
city. Everybody
Slidell,
drank.
where they make the Tabasco on that island.
Right.
They had a gig there that was the scariest gig because you would go through all the bayous and everything, and it was all roughnecks that went to this bar from the oil rigs. And and one of the guys driving me to the gig goes, you know, sometimes they get a little rowdy and you got to watch what you say because there's plenty of place to dump bodies out here. And I'm like, jeez, that's your pep talk before the show?
It sounds like Ron Schock's worst gig story.
What did he have?
He used to tell this story, and it would start as, I got booked in a gig in an outside of an oil refinery town.
It's a pretty good
in
Ron.
Louisiana.
It's a pretty good shock.
And you know how Ron would say something and then he'd go, "Let me repeat that."
Yeah, exactly.
I was outside of a refinery town. He said, as I drove up to the gig, it seemed that some guy had fallen on his knife 4 or 5 times. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all about that kind of a show.
Yes, exactly.
You know. But how did it go?
Great, because I was on
I
my
killed.
game because I didn't want to go in the swamp.
That's every comic said. I killed. Don't worry about that.
Have you ever been to Beale Street?
I have, man. I've been to Beale Street, Bourbon Street. I love all those little Americana places. And even when we were driving around early in the days of, early stand-up, it was always fun to go find what was cool about that city. That was one of the great adventures of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Memphis always had a hard time getting a comedy club to work there.
They had that good comedy zone there for a little while. Randy and his wife ran
it.
That was a good spot.
And that was
then it
Overton Square.
Overton Square, that's
used
right.
to be. That's where
right.
I worked when I was 18. And
sure.
That was the hopping place. Mm-hmm. Randy and his wife were great.
Super nice people, yeah.
Absolutely.
Larry Marks had the place on.
Did Larry have a
Memphis?
Memphis place? I didn't know he had a Memphis.
Yeah,
I never got to work
I think
there.
he took over.
The Overton.
Maybe that's what it was. I wasn't there after that.
Because he had Little Rock too,
yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah, Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's a place where I did not kill. I died a horrid death every night on stage in Little Rock. I went up there to open for Tim Wilson one week, and man, they just hated me.
Did they tell you?
Oh yeah, everyone did.
Hey, you ain't funny.
Tim Wilson just said, "Well, Bill, you're not welcome everywhere. What else can you do about that?"
we were doing it there for a while. We had 3 of us, and we were trying to do a show that was half stand-up and half improvisation because we go, nobody's really doing that touring around. And, it was fun. We did it. Bruce would let us do it in Birmingham and the comedy houses. Mm-hmm. We'd do it. And we got booked in Huntsville, and like you were saying, they just nothing. And it was the same thing. It was like we get up there and we go, okay, we need an occupation. like a job that you.
No one had one.
No one in the audience all week. No, it's like Huntsville got together and said, whatever they do,
just don't answer.
It's like they were scared. They were scared to say.
Answer.
So the employees would yell out shit. Well, it just
so
died.
funny.
Everything has died. And the second night, we walked off that stage and we were walking towards the back, and this big old fucking guy with overalls literally on goes, "Hey, I gotta ask you a question. How you get a job like that?
How you go about that? How you go about
They
that?
paid y'all for that."
The funniest part about that trip to Little Rock was, man, I had a bad tooth, and Tim had picked me up in Atlanta, and he was driving me up there, and this tooth is killing me, and I don't have any insurance or any money or anything so we pull into Nashville because we left at night. So we pull into Nashville about 6:30 in the morning, and I can't even see straight. It hurts so bad. So Tim goes, "We're gonna find a dentist." So he goes to a payphone, and he finds in the yellow pages a dentist. He rips the page out. We go to the place. Now we're waiting for it to open at 8 o'clock. Now I don't have a pot to piss in, no money, no insurance. I don't know how we're gonna do this. And Tim goes, "Well, let's just go in there and talk to them." So he walks in there, and man, I can't even, it's so painful, I can't even open my eyes. I'm standing by the nurse who's taking the information, and Tim goes, "Well, how much is a tooth extraction?" And the woman says, "Well, it's $110, but it's $110 also for the x-ray." He goes, "Bill, open your mouth." I open my mouth. He goes, "That one right there." He yanked it, and then I'm smoking filterless cigarettes the rest of the week. But he got it done for $110.
Did he front you the 110?
He did.
That was good.
A good guy. Tim was.
Oh, Tim was
just a sweetheart, man.
Tim was. There was a point where, and I knew certain Southern comics. We, of course, James Gregory was a great friend, and we tried James down here, and we tried, and some acts were just too Southern.
Too Southern, right?
I'm about as Southern as they can fucking take,
right.
and
and you said that correctly.
Yes, but they didn't work like they, those were guys that were doing so well in other markets, you
right.
know. So years had gone by, and I think I was talking to Chris DePetta, and I said, "Let's try Tim down here." What I'm wondering is how maybe a lot of his fans have retired down
down to Florida,
and
sure.
Bob and Tom people have retired down here, and because this isn't a Bob and Tom market, and so he came down to do the thing, and we went over to do radio, and the tickets were not selling as it was okay, but
right.
He goes, "I gotta ask you, why are we doing this?" And I said, "Well, I thought that maybe your fan base was down here." He was like, "That's just not sound thinking."
About his own show. You're just not thinking this through, Les.
It's not sound.
What a great man.
Oh, he was too. And a guy who shouldn't have died.
No.
He shouldn't have had one of those heart attacks that, he had plenty of time to catch it and just didn't.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It is, how many times shit like that happens. But, so you mentioned earlier in your show, when you were, I think, talking to the audience, that your hobbies were, just listening to, you said, records.
Yeah, I'm a vinyl guy, man.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big vinyl guy. I just got my kid turned on to vinyl, too. It's always been in our house because that was one of the first things I bought when I made some money was a good sound system for my office, and it's all records. And I started rebuilding my record collection, and he kind of bought into that. And it was something we get to bond over. So every year, I got him a small one for up in his apartment in college. And I always send him something every month or every other month, just a little keep going thing.
Like the Columbia.
That's exactly what I told him. I go, "I'm your Columbia Records." He's like, "What?" I go, "You used to get 11 for a penny, and then you had to buy 2. He goes, "Well, when did you buy the 2? I go, "I didn't. I filled somebody else's name on and got another 11 like everybody else." I go, "But I'm your Columbia Clearinghouse." So I send him a record or 2, and we get to talk music and bond over that. And he likes the idea of the record and listening to it in the air and letting it run all the way through, and he really digs that.
So what was the last couple records you said?
I sent him Dylan's Greatest Hits.
Okay.
because I wanted him to have that. Then I sent him Kinda Blue, Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent him, what was it? Oh, I sent him Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Oh.
So I try to spread it out and go around, but great albums that I love.
And he's like 22?
21. He'll be 22 in May, yeah.
So these, like Fleetwood Mac, does he already know Fleetwood?
He knew a little bit, he's been raised in a house with classic rock and jazz, so he kind of knew his way around. But he likes the albums because it like gives you the whole picture for those bands, and so it's been fun to turn him on to those things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Something that amazed me years ago was that I did a little thing at the club. We have Ringling School of Art and Design here, and very, very great, very good art school. And they wanted to use the theater one off night to, they'd set up stations with artwork, and then they had musicians that were all students, and sometimes it'd be a single guy, sometimes it'd be a duo. They had a little band, so I was there, and they had probably 6 different groups that went in. All our music, not their music.
Yeah,
it was all
they're rediscovering
60s, 70s, early 80s stuff. And afterwards, we were kind of hanging out. And I said, I got to ask you. You didn't play any of the music from now.
Yeah.
Everybody played the music from my generation. Why is that? And they went, well, it's the best.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes.
That's cool that they recognize
and
that.
I've noticed that several years ago, Pam and I were up in New York, and we went down to the cellar, and then we just wandered around Greenwich Village. And we were just I said, we'll go in anywhere that has live music.
Right.
Anywhere is like. And once again, all college students from NYU.
Yeah.
What did we hear? Mostly 70s.
I love that.
It was really incredible to me.
I love that. And I love that he likes that stuff too. That makes me realize, because I always tell him, even with films, I said, because he wants to be a filmmaker. I said, you want to watch films from where they were really given birth, like the 50s, early 60s are the best noir. That's great old Hollywood. The 60s, it started to evolve, but the 70s were the best dramas. The 80s were the best comedies. So know your history and find your voice through the history. So you have a reference point. So we get to bond over all that, and I love that. Yeah, I love talking that with
you. Yeah, absolutely. You got records?
Yeah, I got a few, but it's mostly I just listen on my phone or on old. I had everything. I bought every album I've had. I bought album, 8-track, cassette, CD. I'm like,
they got you all the way around.
Enough. I should know the song by now. Yeah.
I'm just once I kind of got myself to where I got into getting Spotify or something like that.
Yeah.
But it just and I just recently redid my sound system at home.
Yeah.
And then started streaming everything.
Right.
And I was like, I love the fact that I can just anything comes to my head, I went, oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. Play it.
Yeah.
And it's there.
Yeah.
And
I don't know who puts who entered all that stuff into the internet is what I want to know. Is there just a mad little guy typing somewhere? Like, how's it? It's just in there.
They're gonna make money off it.
It's just in there,
it's unbelievable as far as that goes. But yeah, and just that I like that in just any kind of music that pops up.
Yeah, and I told him that too. Be eclectic, man. Listen to all forms of music.
Yeah.
Listen to everything. Because if you're a good artist is a good artist is a good artist.
My daughter's in and I don't really get the beats. They develop beats.
Right.
And it's for.
What do you mean, like techno?
Yes, but it's for a rap.
Well, I don't even mind good rap. Like, we had great rap in the 80s with Ice-T and Public Enemy. Public Enemy. That was from with John Witherspoon. Public Enemy. Public Enemy. Public Enemy. But those, and NWA, like, that was all great stuff.
Eminem.
Eminem's great. I like anything where anybody's being authentic and has some sense of smarts in it. That's what I love, the deeper stuff.
I was so lucky to be in Memphis in the 70s.
Oh.
And it was just incredible. It was
the heyday of the guitar right there.
It was unbelievable. And they had Lafayette's Music Room, which was a 350-seater connected to TGI Fridays. And Fridays, I worked at Fridays, and they shared a kitchen.
Right.
And we could just walk through. And I mean, Billy Joel, Barry Manilow, Linda Ronstadt, Kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, just all the blues guys. I mean, anybody it was just amazing being there and watching these people that at the time I'm 19, 20, and I've got their album.
Yeah.
You know, and then here they are.
Yeah,
and
that's always awesome.
It was just incredible, the music then. And that's what kind of got me into thinking about being an entertainer, was that I was getting to meet these people. And I realized, well, they're not gods sent from... I always thought growing up, especially in Chattanooga, you go, well, these... being an entertainer, well, they're different.
They're different than us.
They're not
Sure,
us.
Sure, right.
We don't... we're not born that way.
No, but I think the ones that do it, I think you got to find your way to make your noise that's interesting, whatever that looks like.
Showbiz people not welcome. Those old signs on hotels: actors not welcome.
When you say make that noise, it makes me think of a buddy of mine, Bold Dave. He said he was in church one time and he started singing a hymn, and he's a terrible singer. And so the other people around were kind of looking at him. He was a little kid. And his mother looked at him and said, "The Lord said, make a joyful noise. You make your noise."
How about that?
You make
That's
your
from
noise.
up high. That's from up high.
You go, buddy. Absolutely. You mentioned being Irish, and I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Are you
Scottish?
Norwegian.
Irish, Scottish,
Norwegian. Scottish Irish.
Irish, Scotch Irish, Norwegian. I'm an Irish Viking, is what I am, apparently.
And you're so nice. There's
I know,
nothing
right?
meaner
Well,
than that.
my wife's done a lot of work. My wife's done a lot of work last.
Well, the Irish part
Yeah,
is kind of happy-go-lucky.
There you go.
Before they get mean.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah. No, and we're going there this summer actually for the first time.
Well, that was my question. Have you been to both?
I went to Ireland on a Jameson whiskey tour. We were sponsored by Jameson, and I was still drinking back then. And I was on that tour with some amazing comics. I was on there with Bert Kreischer, and who I love, and Steve Byrne, and Danny Bevins.
Yeah.
And they sent us to Ireland. And I'm like, I remember landing and I remember leaving. That's all I remember. So this summer we're going back with my kid, my wife. We're going to go England, Scotland, Ireland, then we're going to end in France.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Pam and I did that several years ago. We went to the Edinburgh Festival.
Beautiful.
Which is fantastic thing for anybody to do the whole month of August. And then we took the train up to St. Andrews, and I got to play the courses.
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
And then my mother's a Leslie, and Leslie's. When I was in the 4th grade, they said, "Go find out your heritage." So I go home, and my dad's sitting over in his chair reading the fucking paper, and I just happened to walk up to Mom first. What's our thing? And she got excited because her dad. My grandfather I never met. He died before I was, like 2 years old. He was into it. So she pulls out a book, and it's got our tartan, and it's got the family history, and she's reading it, and they're involved with Mary Queen of Scots, and one was in the Field Marshal of the Norwegian Army and came and fought the British, and then involved with the Pope, and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I went over to my dad, and I was like, "So, Dad, what were the McCurdys?" He goes, "Well, son, we too were Scottish, and we worked for your mother."
So nothing's changed.
So anyway, we're getting ready to go over there. I come find out the Leslie Castle, which was originally built in 1000, whatever. It had been built and rebuilt and built and rebuilt and torn down. In the same spot over all these years. So it was, at the time, it had been modernized, and it was a bed and breakfast. So we stayed in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was just like, so we're laying in the bed, me and Pam, and I said, "I know, we're out in the middle of nowhere," and she's like doing this for me, She's like, whatever. But I said, just think, I don't know, 1,000, 1,100, Bartholomew the First deemed Leslie with Anna. Got it on, banger, go on.
Right here.
And thus,
here we are.
Here I am. And there's tens of thousands of us. It's amazing how it just goes.
I can't wait to see the history of those countries. I love historic stuff, old architecture and all those traditional things. I want to see all that stuff.
I'm going to Ireland for the first time. This year I'm going to do Ireland, and we're meeting two buddies, and we're all known each other for a half a century.
That's perfect.
Just going to play golf.
It's a good time in life when you can get there, right?
Yes.
It's a good time in life.
I hope. I told Pam this might be the time we leave the country and everybody starts throwing tomatoes at us.
I know, right?
Fucking American.
I know. You just want to walk around. I read. I'm kind. I don't mind. I have no fight with you.
Exactly.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
Not my fault. No. Oh, absolutely. Well, that's because I'm the same way. I love going anywhere. We were talking about this today with some guys out on the golf course. I love going somewhere where you stay. Like we stayed in a castle that they turned into a thing in Tuscany, and it was, I think it's the Uffizis were the bankers in Florence that bankrolled Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and a lot of the artists.
Oh, wow.
Well, we get this thing, and I didn't realize till we got there. They were telling us history. It was their hunting lodge, and they said Michelangelo stayed here several times. Leonardo da Vinci stayed here a lot.
That's wild that you stayed in the same place as
it is. I mean, we got the two. There are only 8 rooms in this whole thing, so the 2 biggest ones, and they were ridiculously big. You could throw football in these. Right. I mean, you literally could throw football. And we went into the little town and got the olives and the cheeses and the meats and the stuff and our wine, and we went our Chianti because it's the Chianti region, and in the Chianti region, and we came back and we sat down in front of the fireplace, and we're sitting there and going, what room you think Michelangelo and them guys stayed in? You think they stayed over there by the stable? Right. No, this probably in this big fucking room right here.
I would just tell him wherever I stayed, that was it.
This is it.
Yeah, he stayed there.
Here.
I found one of his pens.
That's where they stay. So, Ben, we were talking about Leo DeFore, and that's what made me think that you were out of that Detroit.
No, just remember how much work there was in Michigan back in the day?
Yeah, yeah.
All the stuff. So I would come out from New York and spend 2-3 weeks there, then go up to Canada, and I know all those places in Michigan, man.
Oh, okay. So you're just kind of around those guys a lot. Yeah. Mark Ridley's club?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Did you ever work with Ridley?
Yoder and Ridley and
I love Ridley.
And Canada. That was I never did the Yucks up there. I just did Leo's place and some stuff in Winnipeg, but that whole Detroit area, man, there was
Yucks ended up. Didn't they get some kind of monopoly suit against them or something?
I know they were the only game in town in Canada for a long time.
Yes.
For a long time. It was just Yucks. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's possible.
Yeah, maybe so. And Ridley, do you still do Mark's?
I haven't been back in a long time, but I did it. Mark took great care of me, and that's a great club. I had a blast up there. So hopefully, maybe I'll run through that circuit.
I talked to Mark the other day. He's kind of like me, even maybe more so. I think he's living in Palm Beach now, Palm Springs. But he's kind of he's got his people that run it up there.
He's certainly done.
His kid wrote Renfield.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Yes, I was going to say, your kid wants to get into. Both of Mark's sons are doing really well with
that's great.
Producing and filmmaking and things like that.
Writing is still the best thing you can do to have in your arsenal. I wish I could have been a writer. I wasn't. I'm not disciplined enough for it. But being a writer, a script writer, it's one of the few things. Like AI can emulate a script, but it can't really write a soulful script, and it's still a talent that is needed out there. I tell my kid all the time, please be taking creative writing classes, because you're going to need that bow in your quiver. You need that one. I think it's important, especially nowadays.
It's like, I don't know, that discipline.
You gotta sit down and stare at that screen every day, and I'm terrible at that.
Me too.
Make me crazy. Yeah, I'm a performer. I'm not a writer.
That's something that I've been trying to moved towards during COVID, sitting with nothing to do. I started sitting down and writing memoirs, just stories of, because everybody goes, all of us just have a wealth of really fun and different, and I remember who were the comics that put together that Road Story book that was out. There were two. Was
that Scheidner? Did Scheidner do that? He had one that was pretty good.
I want to say Mark Schiff but anyway,
right.
But and I know there was one that I came across, and I read, and I was like, those are okay stories, but there's some.
Well, Florida was like the Wild West in the late '80s, man. It's just a crazy place.
It was a crazy place, absolutely. But I don't know that it wasn't all kind of crazy. I mean, whether it was, everybody had your little pockets, but whether it was Chicago or New York or,
sure.
I mean, Florida's Florida.
It was just a different time,
New York in the '80s was the
I can't imagine what that was like.
Greatest, man. There was just, you could work every night. You never had to go on the road if you didn't want to. Between
I don't think there's any
Connecticut,
cities
New
like
Jersey,
that today where you can pull that off. You can't do that anymore. You used to be able to do that in Boston too.
Yeah.
You can't do it anywhere now.
I was wondering if you could do that in New York anymore. I mean, you still got 7 or 8 inner city clubs, and then
but back then, before all the internet and everything, it was completely different. I mean, if you got in at Catch or the Improv or the Cellar, whatever, you had that place to work. You were way ahead of the game. Because you had a place to go, and you could buzz around in town and do 5-6 shows a night, man.
Right.
We used to do those prom shows at Dangerfields for the, oh Christ,
a prom show.
It used to be like 18 to drink in New York.
Oh, okay.
And then they jacked it up to 19, and then up to 21. But the kids, when Rodney had the club, when it was first starting up, they would go to their prom, and then they would take a limo to the club. And when they stopped letting them drink at the clubs, they'd get completely fucked up in the limo and then come down to the club totally fucked up. So you do the normal show from 9 o'clock to 1 in the morning. And then they would get the regular crowd out and let the prom kids in. And the more you could turn over for shows, like, get them in, get them out doing 20 minutes, me and 3 other guys. And it was just miserable, unrewarding, they're all drunk. And just yelling shit out, and it's not artistically rewarding, but you made enough money where you could afford to stay in town, so we all did it. It was all.
I've never heard of the prom shows in all these years. Have you ever heard that before?
I did a season there with him, and it's murder.
I learned him good.
Yeah, it's murder.
Walk
1
out
a.m.
there crying, go home and take a Silkwood shower to get that.
Oh God. You just drive until you walk home or take a cab going, what have I done with my life? What have I done?
Yeah, I had a 20 block walk from the club to my apartment, from 61st to 81st, and a lot of time to think about what just happened on stage. A lot of time to consider my choices. It was brutal, man.
Where did you guys meet? How did y'all hook up together?
Billy and I?
Yes.
No, you got it.
We were doing a gig in, Billy had to be 18, 19, and we were doing a gig in Orlando. The guys that he was working for at Bonkers had booked this show at Epcot Center, Disneyland, right? Mm-hmm. Disney World, I guess. So they hired me to headline, and they fly me out, and he picks me up at the airport in a van with no windows and no seats, like we're going to do a fucking heist or something, right? And he's this young kid, and he's just excited about doing this. And I'm like, yeah. I got to go get some underwear. Take me to the mall. So we just kind of hit it off in the car talking, right? He's a real likable guy. And back then, he was just, picking my brain. Just a really fun kid to hang out with.
Yeah.
So we get to the gig, and it's one of these places where there's no seats. Everybody's walking around. There's booths of food from around the world. Right, and it had like a Japanese theme with a big dragon and all this stuff, and we're all going, okay, whatever. It was Daryl Hammond and
me,
Billy
and Phil Tagliaferri,
and me and Phil Tagliaferri, and we we get there, and this woman comes up to us, right? She's not having any of it. She goes, okay, you do, and pointing to him, you do 10 minutes, you do 20, you do 30, and no messing around, dude. Just do it. I said, okay, whatever. So Billy goes up, and you got to picture him back in the heavy days.
I ate it.
Long hair.
When you're outdoors at Epcot.
Shovel.
His attitude was so sweet, but he goes up there, and they're all talking, and no one's paying attention. They didn't start the show right. It's just the worst little like a table with the legs cut off as a stage, all wobbly. And he gets up there, and they're all talking. He's like, "Come on, man, be quiet, man. You guys got to shut the fuck up, man. You got to be quiet." And he's just taking it in the face, and we're back there loving it, going, "Oh yeah." And then Daryl goes up, the same thing, and then I'm like, "Oh shit, now it's my turn. It won't be so funny when I'm up there." So I get up there, and I just lay into him right off the bat. I just go, "Shut the fuck up," and I start pointing to people. So I start doing the worst, like filthiest one-liners I can think of, and Daryl gets up on there's a drum set up there, and he starts boom, starts doing the shit, right? But when Billy went up there, the lady came up to the stage like no couth, like, "You get off now." Right?
No, she actually looked at me and she was going like this. Right, I'm going.
Daryl did the same thing, and then when I got up there, and I'm like looking at my watch, like doing a show like this, like, and good night, and then we got off, and I came back with it, but there was a bunch of food there, so I came back with balanced like an expert.
Yeah, we
waiter.
were all worried about our sets. He came around the corner with 4 plates on his hand and 6 Heinekens. He's like, "Free eats." I think we've learned a lesson here today.
Oh God!
But that's how we met. That's where we just hit it off from then.
Yeah. And so you looked at Billy at that point and went, "I'm going to help this guy."
He did, and he absolutely
and
did.
then I snuck up. He was walking down the street to Dangerfields,
New York, yeah.
And I walk up behind him like, "Give me your money." And he shit himself. "Leave me alone." But yeah,
I remember doing these one-nighters outside of the city in New York. And your opening act was whoever had a car.
Right.
Exactly.
That's how that worked.
Meet me at the Improv at 7:25.
Exactly. And I remember how so often I go, "Okay, what's this gig?" Mm-hmm. And they go, "They have great hamburgers."
Yeah.
And it was like, and that's how you knew it was a shitty gig.
They got good burgers.
But they had great hamburgers.
They had you could work every night of the week.
Did you ever do Betty's Fireside?
Absolutely. I probably hold the record. I probably have the fucking record.
Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it. Heard stories about it. I never played.
There's a stage, and there's behind the bar, and there's a horseshoe bar, and a couple of tables.
The bar.
And the most cantankerous, unhappy, unpleasant, miserable fucking bartender you could think of, right? And you'd be on stage, and all the regulars that probably hadn't left since the last show last week are just sitting there, just the whole show. You can't get anything out.
It used to be a titty bar.
Remember Woodsy?
The dancers were on the stage behind the bar, right above it.
That's why the bar was like that, because they didn't want the guys getting. Remember Bob Woods?
Sure.
Woodsy,
Gleason.
right.
The best Gleason in the business.
Woodsy was up there on stage, and he's doing his shit. This guy won't shut his fucking pie hole. He just keeps going, and he's doing his act, and he's fucking getting it. He just wants to get off and have a goddamn sea breeze, and fucking this is just bullshit. I want to shut these fuckers up. And he's getting done, right? He's gonna bring me up, and he goes, "You guys have been great. I'm kicking your fucking ass." And he dove over the fucking horseshoe bar on this guy and just started pummeling him. But it was the most beautiful. "You guys have been great." He was told, "You guys have been great," when they hadn't. "And I'm kicking your fucking ass."
That sounds like a Tim Wilson story.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it does.
I had my Betty's Fireside was, I was dating Pam. She was living in New York, and her roommate Gretchen, and they're both dolls. And I had literally been skiing in Colorado with my cousin, and we had driven from Vail back to Chattanooga, where I was based out of. I slept for 8 hours, got in my car, and drove to New York. got there. As soon as I got there, I had Betty's Fireside that night. But I had my car up there. So Pam and Gretchen go with me. So, and Pam, I walk in, and you're just like, you're you, but you got two girls with you that, are like, how does that? Yeah. You got to be a drug dealer,
right?
You got to be there. There's no other answer to why, or he's their gay friend, right. Something. Because so they were in the back, and I'm looking at what he just described, and of course I've got an opening act that's just up there, as if the two acts that went up before me, it was like they weren't even up there. Right. I mean, the crowd paid zippity attention to them, So, we worked enough of that kind of shit where you go, well, I know how to get their attention. I know how to be loud enough and animated enough to at least get them to look at me like I might do something crazy. Right. I mean, that's what you got to do with those crowds. You just got to go, well, Southern guy, there's a Southern guy up there, and he's fucking going mad, So I kind of got their attention and, threw some stuff out there, and I won over some of them, they're laughing around. So I used to do this whole bit about cow tipping, right? And I thought, I'm in New Jersey. What the fuck? They're not going to have any fun. My head's going, they're not going to have any connection to cow tipping. But then I go, but what fucking matters? What does it matter?
Exactly.
So I go,
take them there.
You guys ever heard of cow tipping? Woo! I mean, you would have thought.
It was the rodeo.
Absolutely. You would have thought it was their national sport. They went crazy. And then I thought, oh, fuck, it's Jersey cow. Sure. We're in cow country. They all knew fucking cow tipping. So and that's how I won them over. I started talking cow tipping, and it was all of a sudden, he's one of our guys.
It's always amazing what you up there on stage when it's a bad night, sometimes what you can pull out of your ass to get them going. You're like, wow, that worked. I can't believe that worked.
Or exactly. If you just have one guy in the back of the room, another comic that knows what you're going through, that's watching you take it in the face, and it's beautiful to him because that's and it's better for you because you're like, well, at least he
he knows what
knows what I'm going through.
Sure.
They used to have a bus stop outside of Betty's Fireside, right? Mm-hmm. And if you didn't come with another comic who drove or anything, if they came from Jersey and you come from the city, there was one bus that left at like 10:15, not 10:14, not 10:16, 10:15. And once in a while, I'd be up to closing, and the bartender would go, honey, your bus is coming in a minute. Say goodnight and go. Here's your pay. And I'd run out, and then I'd be standing there at the bus stop while people were leaving. You sucked. Okay,
all
thanks.
Right, good night. Thank you. $2.50, right?
I can remember many times of course, once again, your opening act's a guy that can drive. The middle act's like whatever. And so they go up, and they start eating it, right? They start eating it, and 5 minutes into eating it, then they go, well, now I'm just going to attack the crowd and cuss them out and call them all a bunch of fucking dirty shit fucking names. And so, I'd sit back there, and then I would always walk up there and go, okay, before this goes any further, I just want to let everybody know in here, what you've seen so far is not stand-up comedy. I just want to clarify.
I'm not with that guy. I don't know him.
No,
I don't know
even though he drove me up here, and he's going to drive me home.
Which is going to be a weird ride for me. However.
Well, it's like, it seemed like, I don't know, maybe I was just lucky with this. Always my driver was a guy that I looked at and I go, I think I can take him. It's like if it comes down to me and him,
I'm gonna be all right.
I think I can take his car away from him. Oh man! Hey guys, thanks for chatting,
brother. Thank you for having us. And thank you for having us to the club.
That was hilarious.
Appreciate you.
Well, now I'm gonna be having flashback nightmares of Betty's Fireside. Man.
Renowned.
When they would book you for it. Hey, What are you doing on Tuesday? Why?
Yeah, why?
Which
wants
gig
to
is
know?
it? You know I forget the name. Is it Betty's? Yeah. No, I don't. Please, no.
You're the only guy that I know that went back.
Oh, he did a number of times.
I did them all, brother. I did them all. Nothing hurts
Thank
as
you,
bad
man.
as you think it's gonna hurt.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.